Hey, what's going on, guys? John Shea here from the No Shame Income blog. And today I'm actually going to talk about why I have decided to no longer do web design. And, really the reason is that these most recent web design clients that I've had have just turned into a complete and utter nightmare. I've had, pretty good success in the past over the last, I'd say, like 2-3 years doing web design here and there for a few clients. Mostly for a lot of contractors. I've done websites for plumbers, painters. I even did a website for a hypnotist. And a lot of those sites, they went really smooth. Initially, I wasn't charging a whole lot of money. In fact, my very first website, I didn't even charge any money at all for a client. I did a website for a plumber just to help him out for free. He wasn't even, someone that I knew personally. I just could feel the guy was in pain. I saw his website. He wasn't having any success online with marketing, anything like that, and just really needed an update. So I had, initially built a lot of these websites. I even did some barter work. I had this plumber I did the work for. He actually helped me out. He hooked up my washer and dryer, for example. He fixed, I actually had a pump in the basement that needed to be replaced and, hooked up to all the pipes, and he did all that work for free. I also had a painter come in and actually paint the interior of my house. He ended up painting the kitchen, and that worked out really well, to be able to do a website for someone, have them pay you a little bit of money, and then at the same time be able to get them to do some work for you. So ultimately what ended up happening, though, is that I continued doing these websites, and I felt like I really wasn't making a ton of money. Most of the clients I wasn't able to really turn into regular sort of monthly maintenance contracts. I would just do some work one time, and I figured it was fine in my case because I was able to do these barter situations, so I was getting something out of it. Now, these last 3 web designs that I did, basically figured out that the first one was for someone that was going to be selling some custom-made products. I actually outsourced most of the work, which worked out really well. I was able to get most of it done without me even intervening. But ultimately what it came down to is I referred them to a web host company called Bluehost, and they're just absolutely so slow. I just can't even describe. The site would load at an incredibly slow pace, and it really just made for a super poor experience. So pretty much I followed up with the guy because he still owed me some money. He owed me about $250. It was $1,250 deal. The guy had paid me $1,000. So I said, hey, you still owe me some money. The project was basically done, and he comes back with this email, and he's like, yeah, I'm super unhappy. We're just scrapping the whole website. And I was kind of like, wow, really? And it's just really frustrating to know that you put some time into something. And I actually offered him a solution. I said, hey, I'll put you on my own hosting. I'll get you off Bluehost. And he was already at the point, apparently, he just said, screw it. I don't want anything to do with it. So that kind of sucks. I don't really want to deal with stuff like that anymore. And then the next design project that I was working on as of recently was I'm working with an older gentleman. He's a contractor. He does construction, full-on company. That they do this out in Michigan. And I actually built the entire website. There were a couple things he was unhappy with in terms of slider images and just fonts and stupid little things that I'm wasting all my own time on trying to fix. Even if I had outsourced it, it probably would have taken someone quite a bit of time to figure it out, and might have had to pay them some money to really figure out how these WordPress themes work. And ultimately what it came down to was that I actually got the site completely done, and the guy has kind of gone cold. He's paid me for it, but it's really annoying because he wanted to get the site finished, and then he was going to hire me to do some search engine work on a monthly basis. And this was now probably 6 months ago, and we have not even brought the site live and brought the old site down. So it's just kind of been sitting there dormant. I got paid for the website itself for about $600, which is nothing to go raving home over. I was mostly looking forward to doing the search engine work on a monthly basis, making $400, $500 a month. And, he just completely went cold on me, and I haven't even made the website live. Now, for the third project that I have going at the very moment, I finally have got it to a point where it's 99% complete. There's small little tweaks. Did a website for a guy in the home theater and car audio niche. And what he's been having me do is literally just tweak every little tiny thing. I thought it would be a super straightforward thing where I'd throw in a theme. I decided to actually use a theme called the Divi theme with WordPress, and it's worked out really well. It's like a drag and drop editor, but there's like little things he wasn't happy with, like the fonts weren't very bold and the colors weren't the way he wanted them to be. The slider that comes with Divi is really awful. It was like kind of cropping the image and shrinking it down. And we finally came to a conclusion on everything, and I must have spent like 3-4 hours on the phone with him, just kind of going over all this stuff. And now bear in mind, I had actually told this guy only $350 because he's a single guy running the shop here, running the show for his business. So I didn't want to charge him an arm and a leg. And at the same time, he's done some work on my car where he installed like car stereo in the past, and normally he would charge a lot of money for that because he does professional work. He works on high-end cars, home theater, things like that. So I didn't want to charge him an arm and a leg because I figured he could hook me up with something like doing a remote start in my car, or maybe doing I actually just bought this car brand new, this Volkswagen GTI, so this has like all stock stuff in it. There's no aftermarket anything, so I figured maybe he could hook me up. So that's why I charged him such a low rate. I figured we could do a little barter on top since I've done that in the past, and he agreed to it. But man, I've spent so much time, like just hours and hours, talking to this guy on the phone, and I love the guy. He's a really good guy, but I think if I were to have done it again, I would have charged him probably well over $1,500, just because of the amount of time. I've actually done an SEO audit for this insurance company, and I was able to outsource the entire job for just $50, and I got paid $500 for it. Made a 20-minute YouTube video going over the audit, like explaining it and what he needs to change and everything that's going on. And he actually paid me the $500, and it took me less than an hour to do that work. So those are the kinds of jobs I'm really looking forward to, freelance work-wise, because these web design gigs, they've just become really awful. So that's why I've decided not to do web design anymore. Obviously, for those of you who have enough experience in web design, you're really good at coding, things like that. I'm not particularly good at that. I've really been more of someone who could just go into WordPress, like throw in a demo theme and just kind of tweak it to make it something the customer might want. But I've decided that I'm no longer doing website design because these projects have just been such a nightmare. All three of the most recent ones I've done have been awful. They've taken up so much of my time, really wasted a lot of time I could have spent doing other things like trying to bring on new SEO clients or other things that I could have been making more money from. So those are just some of my opinions on web design and currently where I'm at with it. Thought I'd share this in a video. And again, if you guys like these videos, if you found them helpful, learning some experiences from me, feel free to like and subscribe. I'm going to be doing a lot more videos, hopefully in the car like this, and I look forward to sharing my knowledge with you.